Hi everyone and welcome to Diabolical Misconduct. In this episode we're going to look at 3 horrific British murders with accompanying CCTV footage. The victims in these cases were all vulnerable in some way. Some viewers may find this content upsetting. Let's begin with the murder of Gemma Hayter. Gemma Hayter was a 27-year-old woman with learning difficulties and was living alone in a small flat with no assistance from social services. Although this was upsetting and worrying for her family, Gemma was happy to have her independence, and in the months before her death she had been befriended by a girl called Chantal Booth, who in turn introduced Gemma to 4 of her other friends. Gemma was vulnerable, she could only see the good in others, and this along with her learning difficulties made her unable to see that the group she had come to call friends were actually anything but. It later transpired that the group were using Gemma for the benefit money she received for her disabilities, as well as storing drugs in her flat. On Saturday the 7th of August, a group of friends along with Gemma went to the pub, and when Chantal was asked for ID, Gemma made a joke that she was only 16. This angered Booth, who then took violent action against Gemma to reprimand her. The CCTV footage shows Booth roughly shoving Gemma away from the group, while the rest of the group laugh. On Sunday the 8th of August, Gemma went to the home of Chantal Booth. That's when a brutal attack ensued. The group of young people that called themselves Gemma's friends: Chantal Booth, 22 years old, her boyfriend Daniel Newstead, 20 years old, Joe Boyer, 18 years old, Jessica Linus, 19 years old, and Duncan Edwards, also 19-year-old, broke Gemma's nose. They forced her to drink urine from a beer can. They hit Gemma with a mop, they smashed her head against a radiator, and wrapped masking tape around her face. They then locked her in a small bathroom while they discussed what to do next. When they let Gemma out, they told her they were taking her home. CCTV shows the group walking with Gemma following closely behind, dabbing her bloody nose. As they neared her flat, they told her they would take a shortcut, and it was at this moment they led Gemma to a railway bank where they continued assaulting her. The group put a bin liner over her head. They stabbed her in the back. They took Gemma's clothes off and stamped on her head and body, so hard that the outline of her footprint was visible on her skin. At some point during the attack, they attempted to set fire to Gemma's clothing. When pathologist Khaola examined Gemma's badly beaten body, he found 55 injuries, including 17 to her face and head. He described grazes, cuts and bruises all over Gemma's body. The cause of Gemma's death was blockage of her airways by blood as a result of severe facial trauma. The tragedy was considered a hate crime. Chantal Booth was sentenced to 21 years, Daniel Newstead 20 years, and Joe Boyer will serve 16 years for Gemma's murder. Jessica Linus and Duncan Edwards were found guilty of manslaughter and were sentenced to 13 and 15 years. Gemma's mother later said that if Gemma had survived the attack, she probably would have forgiven them because she believed they were her friends. Gemma needed help from the local authority but was somehow overlooked. The authorities claimed that Gemma refused their help. However, 2 years prior to Gemma's death, she had written a letter to them explaining what she felt she needed from them to help her live independently, safely. This is what I want and need in my life. To have my own flat, for people to stop telling me what I need is my life. I am an adult at 25 years old. For someone to help me with personal hygiene, cleaning and laundry when I need help. I would like a job. I need my independence. I'd like someone to help me when I ask for it. I would like a flat with a warden control. I do have some friends and I'm losing my hearing and I have problems with my pelvis, which can affect my walking and sleeping. Gemma's death was an absolute tragedy. It's heartbreaking to think that somebody so gentle and so vulnerable was subject to such a brutal and unforgivable attack. On the 26th of August 2018, Raneem Oudeh was enjoying her evening out with her mother and friend at a popular shisha bar in Birmingham when her ex-partner Jambaz Tarin turned up and began verbally and physically abusing them. He was soon escorted out by staff. CCTV footage shows Raneem entering the bar and Tarin lurking around outside before entering and confronting him. Raneem had been trying to end a relationship with Tarin for quite some time after she had found out they had a wife and 3 children in Pakistan. Tarin, known for his violence towards women, was unwilling to let Raneem go, who he had married under Islamic law and considered his property. After the confrontation at the shisha bar, Raneem called the police to report that she and her mother had been physically assaulted by Tarin. She told them that she had a non-molestation order against him and that she didn't feel safe. 22 years old Raneem and her mother wait for 20 minutes, but the police didn't show, so she calls for a second time to inform them that she's going home. A further 30 minutes passed and the police still didn't respond to the incident, so again Raneem calls them back and tells them that she's waiting outside her home. Approximately 35 minutes later, the police attempt to call Raneem, but she doesn't answer. When Raneem sees the missed call, she responds, telling the police that she is going to stay at her mother's house and that she is scared Tarin will hurt her. The police advise that she stays at her mother's house and locks the doors, calls back if Taryn turns up. The police then call Raneem again to arrange an appointment for an officer to come and see her at 8 AM the following morning. As Raneem finalises the appointment with the officer, Taryn appears with a knife and viciously stabs her and her mother to death. 21-year-old Jambaz Taryn went on the run following the attack, but was apprehended a few days later after a member of the public recognised him and informed the police of his whereabouts. In interview, Taryn failed to comment, but later pleaded guilty to 2 counts of murder and was sentenced to life in prison. He will have to serve a minimum of 32 years for the horrific knife attack. Viktorija Sokolova was a troubled 14-year-old girl living in Wolverhampton with a history of drinking, taking drugs and meeting older men. Originally from Lithuania, the girl's parents had tried many things to keep their daughter from flying even further off the rails. However, this was unsuccessful. Viktorija had been arrested for stealing money from her stepfather. After being released from custody, she spent the night in her children's home before returning to her parents on the 10th of April 2018. The family talked out the problems and hoped to make some changes. The following day, Viktorija spent the day messaging the 16-year-old boy she had met on Facebook Messenger, and against her plans to make a change, arranged a meeting that evening at West Park to smoke cannabis together. The CCTV footage shows Viktorija as she makes her way to West Park. Little did Viktorija know the boy she was meeting had lured her there after planning a shocking act which he proceeded to play out on her arrival. He told her he wanted sex, and when she refused, the boy raped and killed her, striking her 21 times in the head with a hammer-like instrument, causing multiple fractures to her skull and spine. At the time of the events, the boy could not be named, but after he was convicted, an appeal was lodged and the judge lifted the ban on identifying him. He was 17 years old when he was convicted and named as Ayman Aziz. It was also later discovered that he had a diagnosis of paranoid schizophrenia. Further CCTV footage was later released of Ayman Aziz as he travelled to meet the schoolgirl just a few short hours before savagely killing Viktorija.